Hi everybody, and welcome to the first installment of Open to Interpretation. My idea for starting this series is to take you through the process of getting a brand new song, looking at the lyrics, coming up with my interpretation of it, and then eventually bringing that onto the stage for a performance. So the first song that I picked out for this series is called The Ballad of the Shape of Things. This is a tune by Sheldon Harnick, who wrote both the music and the lyrics. And he wrote it for a Broadway show, an off-Broadway show called The Littlest Review in 1956. This show only ran for less than a year in the Phoenix Theater of New York City. And the overall vibe of this musical is it was a sophisticated but satirical comedy musical. And those things will all be important when we start analyzing this piece. The beginning first three lines of this song sound like this.
Completely round is the perfect pearl the oyster manufactures. Completely round is the steering wheel that leads to compound fractures. Completely round is the golden fruit that hangs from the orange tree. Yes.
So it starts out with this repeated phrase, completely round is the, and then fill in the blank. And this literary device or musical device known as an anaphora, I think adds to the sing-song quality of this tune and the fact that shapes are kind of the transitional material that ties together the whole song, and this kind of sets up the formatting that is used for the rest of the tune. So the first three lines, perfect pearl, then steering wheel, then golden fruit, are really interesting to me because it starts out with a perfect pearl, something that could represent beauty or love, and it even says perfection. These are all generally thought of as good things. Then the next line, steering wheel that leads to compound fractures, is obviously pretty grim, includes pain. And then the third line, golden fruit that hangs from the orange tree, once again goes back to this vitality and sweetness, and those are all good things. So it has a line of positive connotation, negative connotation, and then positive connotation, which already sets up this really intense juxtaposition that is continually found throughout this song. The next three lines.
The circle shape, it is quite renowned, and I'm sad to say that it can be found in the dirty, low-down run around.
These lines kind of serve as this ominous foreshadowing for the rest of the tune. I think that that really helps set up the rest of the song. Stanza number 2 starts out with this.
Completely square is the velvet box he said my ring would be in. Completely square is the envelope he wrote farewell to me in. Completely square is the handkerchief I flourish constantly.
Already we're getting a little bit more of the story here, and I think that this is a really important turning point, taking the first stanza to set the scene, the second stanza to kind of draw the audience into the story. And then it keeps going the first three lines into the second section where it says, kind of has more of this negative connotation again. So it goes from the positive connotation of a wedding ring, and then it really quickly drops off into this kind of crazy, dramatic story. And then the third to last line, for a perfect square is my true love's head, takes this idea of the shape, which we have already seen in the first section and then the second section, from round to square, and already starts to use a little wordplay on that, which is going to be important foreshadowing for the next stanza of the song. And then it ends again with, he will not marry me, no, he will not marry me, which is, again, repetition. So the third stanza of this song sounds like this.
Rectangular is the hotel room my true love tried to sneak through. Rectangular is the transom over which I had to peek through. Rectangular is the hotel room I entered angrily.
And this is my favorite stanza of the song. This is my favorite section of the song because this is the action of the song. So it starts out again with those transitional shape words, starting out with rectangular. And this has a little more imagery. Rectangular is a hotel door my true love tried to sneak through. Okay, that's already a little bit of a yikes. Rectangular is the transom hole by which, or over which, depending on which version you listen to, I had to peek through. And a transom, in case you don't know, is that little glass area above a door that exists in some different styles of architecture and was apparently present in this hotel room. And then rectangular is the hotel room I entered angrily, and then it stops there. And I see this next section as a little bit of a shift.
And rectangular is the wooden box where lies my love neath the grazing flocks. They say that he died of the chicken pox, and in part I must agree. One chick too many had he.
So wooden box is clearly a euphemism for a coffin. So that's an interesting way of putting that, which adds to a little bit more of the wordplay and the confusing kind of shape imagery that's coming up again and again throughout the song. And then depending on which version, you might hear golden flocks or grazing flocks. And golden flocks, that's a type of flower, compared to grazing flocks, which is an allusion to cattle or some sort of animal that would be going over this coffin or this wooden box that's underneath the ground. And I think this line, for me personally, is the climax of the song, because right after this, these next two lines, they say he died of the chicken pox. That's a lot of the action of the story. Then it pauses there. In part, I must agree. One chick too many had he. And that's the punchline of the whole song, tying together all this clever wordplay into a brief little moment where the humor of the piece and the Broadway show where this is from kind of peeks through and really lets the audience in on this humor and the satire of this piece and the irony of this piece.
Triangular is the piece of pie I eat to ease my sorrow. Triangular is the hatchet blade I plan to hide tomorrow. Triangular, the relationship that now has ceased to be. And triangular is the garment thin that fastens on with a safety pin to a prize that I had no wish to win. It's a lasting memory that my true love gave to me.
And then the last stanza calms down a little bit. Triangular is the piece of pie to ease my sorrow. Triangular is the hatchet blade I plan to hide tomorrow. So it's a little bit nonchalant, a little bit tongue-in-cheek with this part, kind of taking it down from the drama of the last stanza. And then triangular is the garment thin that fastens on with a safety pin. That, when I first listened to this piece and looked at the music, I didn't understand what that was a reference to. But after doing a little more research, it is referencing a swaddling cloth for a baby, and the safety pin is used to attach that to the baby. So this is a really ambiguous way of saying that the main character of this song, who, if you were performing it, would be you, had a baby with her true love that was cheating on her. And it ends out with another little ironic euphemism: to a prize I had no wish to win. It's a lasting memory that my true love gave to me. And it closes off the tune very abruptly, and I kind of like that it just ends that way. The audience is still kind of thinking through all of these puns and all this wordplay and really digesting all of the fun humor that is involved with this piece. I'll attach some additional resources to check out if you would like to dive in a little bit deeper or do some of your own research. Feel free to do so, and thank you so much for coming to this first session of Open to Interpretation.